So as you know, yesterday we had the incident at St. Pat's. Just to fill in a couple of the details. The individual, Mark Lamparello, arrived in the area approximately 6:30. We've reviewed video and security cameras. We can see his vehicle circling the block. He gets into the vehicle, he gets out of the vehicle. But at 7:55, he returns to the minivan. He opens the door to the rear. He takes out the 2 cans of gasoline, the 2 containers of lighter fluid, and a bag containing the lighters. And at 7:56, he enters St. Patrick's Cathedral. He is approached by the usher, who's working at the front door, who tells him he cannot proceed into the cathedral with these items. When he puts it down, some of it spills on the floor. He picks it up and leaves. At that point, the usher alerts the Counterterrorism Bureau Critical Response Command Stryker team that is coming onto the block. 2 officers, Officer Alvin Nazario and his partner, Regina Decade, follow the man down 50th Street, approach him, engage him in conversation. He explains that he was trying to locate his vehicle, that his vehicle was out of gas. That's why he possessed the gasoline. At this point, he is walking away from his vehicle, which was parked on 5th Avenue, not towards it. The officers engage him in conversation for some time, trying to vet his story and locate the vehicle. And when they find the vehicle and determine that it is not out of gas, nor is it in the direction he said it would be, they took him into custody. He was transported to the Midtown North Detective Squad, where detectives from the Intelligence Bureau, the Midtown North Detective Squad from the Detective Bureau, investigators from the Joint Terrorism Task Force worked on that investigation through the night. At this point, Mark Lamparello is going to be charged with attempted arson, reckless endangerment, and some violations of city codes involving the transport of flammable materials in public places.
But did he have a flight? I'm sorry. Did he have a flight out of town for today or later this week?
So, over the past 72 hours or so, on Monday night in Newark, New Jersey, he was arrested in Sacred Heart Cathedral, according to the Essex County Sheriff's Department. When the cathedral was closing, he refused to leave, resisted arrest, got into a physical altercation with 2 deputy sheriffs, and was arrested that night. The day in the early morning hours of yesterday, before proceeding to New York City, he did book a flight to Italy for $2,800 that would have left at 5:20 this evening.
The incident in Sacred Heart, was there any gas involved with that, or do you think he was scouting a cathedral, or something else?
I think you'd have to talk to the Essex County Sheriff about that, but he didn't have any with him. We consulted with them last night extensively on that, and the vehicle didn't come into play in the course of that arrest.
And aside from Monday night's incident at that church in New Jersey, does he have any other criminal history or like any other domestic incidents where they have to engage him?
Nothing of significance.
Is there any writings that Mr. Lamparello has made online or had on his person that indicate a potential motive?
No.
And he was a professor at Brooklyn College, or?
So he teaches at, I believe, Seton Hall in New Jersey. He's got an association with CUNY where he's a PhD candidate and an adjunct lecturer in philosophy. He also has a book he's published.
Did he indicate what he was doing in Rome, what he wanted to do there, or what the plans were to go there?
I'm not going to get into that right now.
Did he make any statements about his intent on what he wanted to do with the cathedral? And does he have any EDP history, any psychological history?
Not going to get into that either.
Did he mention Notre Dame?
Actually, to stave off the rest of these questions, not going to be able to characterize statements that he made after he was in custody in any detail, as opposed to statements he made when we first encountered him on the street.
Are they considering this terrorism at this point?
It does not appear that way. I think the presence of our people in the Joint Terrorism Task Force is just indicative of our approach, which is when you have these indicators at this kind of location, you start the investigation to eliminate that question. There doesn't appear to be any connection to any terrorist group or any terrorist-related intent here.
And what is it about the incident that earns him the attempted arson charge? Did he say anything, or was it just the act of bringing the gas cans in the cathedral?
I think in our discussions with the district attorney overnight, the idea that our initial discussions were that he was carrying gasoline cans so that he could fill up his car with gas, that he had gone into the church with the gasoline cans, after being taken outside, walked in the opposite direction of his car, which was not in need of gasoline, that along with the gasoline cans, he was in possession of 2 full bottles of lighter fluid, the kind of which you would use for a grill at home, and 2 lighters. There's significant reason to doubt the veracity of his statements, and his intent with those items seemed to be to set a fire.
Let's do 1 or 2 more, guys.
Hey, Commissioner, how far into the cathedral building did he get? And
Not
the
far.
security work, was he inside the building proper?
He went through the front door. He was carrying these items in his hands. He was confronted within 20 feet. Before he got to the last row of pews, he was engaged by cathedral staff.
And did security work as it was intended in this case?
Yes.
Is he being held with bail, and what does that amount?
So he's in the process of being charged. He hasn't been arraigned.
Is he from New Jersey or New York, and do you know, did he get the gas from New Jersey or New York?
He has an address in New York. We're looking into that location today. He has an address in New Jersey, but for the last few days has been staying in a hotel.
Could you talk
Last
about
question,
how
Julia,
the
please.
officers engaged him? Because obviously, I guess he was working out with the canisters. So they're seeing this in front of St. Pat's, and how did they engage him and get him to check?
They were extraordinarily professional. I give a lot of credit to these officers. They pulled up with their sergeant. They were suiting up to assume that post. You've seen that post, long guns, heavy vests. And the sergeant said, go after that guy, engage him now. And they spent a good deal of time talking to him to try and draw out what was the story. And I think they did a very good job.
Commissioner O'Neill, can I?
Commissioner, is there any sense that this is related to Notre Dame? Is there a theory along those lines?
I think you would have to say from our standpoint, in terms of the kind of security that we've placed around houses of worship, and an abundance of caution, that there was certainly attention to that at the time he showed up with gasoline and lighters in an iconic church. That was certainly a consideration. I can't tell you that he made any statement in that regard.
Okay. Last question.
What's your
please.
concern, Commissioner, in terms of, obviously some people are very scared about this. It's not a gun, this guy just rolls up with gas, and he could have set people on fire, not just the building. Your concern and your message to New Yorkers and visitors.
Well, I think, first of all, I'd like to thank the security staff at St. Pat's. I think they did a tremendous job, and also the CRC cops. And Dean, this is why we have people out there. This is why we we look through the threat stream constantly each and every day to make sure that not only if we see something, we can respond to it. And yet the uniform presence, I think, is the biggest part of this piece here. This is how we prevent it. So, and this is up to all New Yorkers, and I talk about this all the time, right? I say that pay attention to what's going on around you. Maybe take off your headphones, maybe stop talking on the phone, and look around. Be aware. And if you see something that doesn't look right, dial 911, flag down a cop, and then we can do what these cops did last night to continue to keep New York safe.
Great. Thank you, everybody.